Hey everyone, this is Attorney Andre. For almost 10 years, I've been involved in one business or another. Before I was a lawyer, I was involved in a neurological clinic. Now I'm consulting clients and building different businesses, doing angel investing on the side. However, in my roughly 10 years of experience in one business or another, especially as it pertains to my law firm business, which is really what I learned so much in, I've learned a lot from my mistakes. And here are the 5 lessons I learned. Go all in. When I started my law firm, I was hesitant to open my own practice. And while I was registering a company, I was also at the same time fixing up my resume and seeking to do interviews with a whole bunch of different companies, a whole bunch of different law firms. And during my first year as a law firm owner, I won a lot. And every time I won, I kind of rolled that into another success story to put on my resume. And then at one point, I thought to myself, look, I can't be in both places because I wasn't getting really any good offers. I was starting to make more on my law firm than what these other jobs were offering me. And I said to myself, I've got to either go all in on one thing or on something else, but I can't do both. So when I decided to go all in, after a year and a half, I retired my resume, I deleted my LinkedIn, and I stopped interviewing at law firms. And then I started making relationships with lawyers so they can send me cases because now I'm not looking for a job. Now I'm just looking for cases. So now I'm starting to network and go all in on my law firm. My law firm grew exponentially because I started focusing on something that really mattered. I started focusing on building my firm, not focusing on just pedaling along until something else comes up. So that's the first lesson. Go all in. Lesson number 2, be careful with marketing. There are tons of marketing companies. All of them, or a lot of them, are kind of fly by night. They're not tested, they're not improved, and I've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on marketing. I've gone through one company, another company, and some of them are really good, some of them are not so good, but I've done everything. I've done the billboards, I've done the SEO, I've done literally anything you can think of, I've done. Radio, I've even tried radio. And the thing that really worked for me, actually, it's going to go to the third thing that I learned, but what it really goes to is that to build your own team. So when I started getting the most success with marketing was 2 things. Number one, I started making personal connections with other lawyers and other businesses. So I made those connections, and that was my marketing effort. And then I built a team. I built an SEO team. I built a team for Instagram, for YouTube, for Facebook, for these kinds of things. And I built an internal team, people that I picked. So I'm not relying on a company. I'm relying on people that can actually do the work for me, people that actually know what they're doing. And sometimes these people come from another company and they learn the craft and they learn the skills and they have the tools. But that's kind of what I was going for. If you are going to go with a company, then make sure it's not a small company or a company that doesn't know what they're doing. I know a lot of law firms, I know a lot of friends of mine, a lot of other businesses, they'll spend like $5,000 a month on a marketing firm, and then it turns out they're not doing anything for them. Really, if you want to do it well, it costs way more than $5,000 to actually do it well and do it right. Even if you build your own team, it's going to cost way more than $5,000. So that's kind of the second lesson I learned is number one, be careful with marketing because you can really easily get scammed with marketing. And number two, make sure you build your own team and make sure you can scale that team. And that goes to the third lesson that I learned. Don't be afraid to scale. When I first started, I did everything myself. I picked up the phones, I drafted the motions, I went to meetings, I grew the business, I did the consulting thing, I did everything myself. I didn't have dedicated teams, and I didn't have a receptionist, I didn't have, essentially, if I needed to mop the floors in my building, I mopped the floors in my building. And that's good for the beginning, because you're trying to get a good cash flow in. It's good for that. But then when you start growing and you start having, in my practice, I guess, 30, 40 cases going at the same time. You have different things going here and there, consulting gigs, marketing gigs, whatever business you're into. You're opening up a real estate division or something like that, or even a real estate investment firm, whatever you're doing. If you can't scale it properly, if you start to get an inflow of cash or an inflow of cases or an inflow of clients, you're not going to have a good time dealing with them, and they're not going to like it because they're always put on the back burner. For example, with me, if I'm in court, I can't answer the phone. So I have a dedicated person, a receptionist, answer the phone. And that scales. So don't be afraid to scale. Don't be afraid to spend money, because ultimately it's going to make the quality of your business better, which is going to attract clients. You're going to have less turnover on clients because they're not running away, because you're not answering the phone, you're not responding to them, you're not responding to your email because you're always doing something else. And it allows you to essentially fire yourself. So eventually you'll get to the point where, yeah, you're spending a lot of money, but you're bringing in a lot of money, and you're not doing these tasks that you don't want to do. So for me in my business, it's going to early morning hearings. You have 5-minute calendars, which take an hour and a half because you have 30 or 40 lawyers in a room, and everyone is waiting for their case to be called. And it usually deals with some small, minuscule issue. Why would you deal with that? Why would anyone deal with that if you're trying to scale your business? So I have someone else going there, they'll do the hearings, and at the same time, it's not like I'm sitting there doing nothing. While they're doing the hearings, I'm servicing clients. I'm doing something else. I'm trying to drum up business. I'm making content for you. And it's the same thing with any business. You want to scale and eventually fire yourself from the day-to-day duties of your business so you can focus on growing the business and having that business ultimately work for you. I know that sounds super cliche. Don't work for your business, have your business work for you. But that's really what scaling is. And when someone says that, what they're really saying is scale your business in such a way that the tasks that you need to accomplish, that are most important to you, you have the time and energy to accomplish. And those tasks that you also need to accomplish, but they're less important, but they still need to get done to make kind of the building blocks run, that's something you can hand to someone else. Like, for example, answering a phone call, doing intake, scheduling things. That's something that it's very important, but it's not something you necessarily want to spend your time doing. So that's number 3. Don't be afraid to scale. Number 4, really important. Hire fast, and this goes to scaling as well. Hire fast and fire fast. And how that works is when you scale, you want to find talent quickly, but no one is perfect at hiring. I've probably done so many interviews in the beginning when I was looking for a job, and now when I start hiring employees, I go through so many interviews, I go through so many resumes, and I'll tell you this: you want to find someone quickly that you can fill in a particular spot to take the load off yourself. And if they don't work out, you don't want to give multiple chances. You want to fire fast. I'll give you an example. I hired a guy a couple of months ago, and he couldn't write very well, but he told me that he could write very well. And I looked at his writing sample. It was okay, and I sent him to a hearing. He didn't do well at the hearing. He didn't write very well, and he was asking for another chance. And I said, look, I can't do another chance. I've seen like 5 or 6 examples of your work. I don't like it. I need someone in this spot that can actually do the work from the get-go. So I fired really quickly. I hired someone else, and this someone else is perfect. Really does a fantastic job. The only time that doesn't work is if you're hiring someone to train, like an intern. So you hire someone, you know they can't do anything, and you are building them up so to eventually put them in a job that is going to be more fitting to their skill and that they're proficient in because you train them. So that's another thing that you want to kind of be mindful of, is you want to fire fast and hire fast for the particular role. So for example, for an intern, for an associate, for a real estate agent, you want to make sure that they fit that role. And if they don't fit that role, you need to get rid of them because they're costing you money and they're costing you time, and you're going to do double work. And remember, the point of scaling is to fire yourself from these positions so you can do other things to grow your business. You can't do that if you're constantly checking up on your employees because you're doing double or triple work. So that's what I said. Fire fast, hire fast, move on. The final lesson that I learned from all my mistakes that I've done in business, but the final lesson that I learned is to not be a perfectionist. I know also it sounds super cliche, don't be a perfectionist, but you really shouldn't be. Because if you are at 99% and you need that 1% to get that 100%, you're putting in so much effort to get to that 1%, where if you're at 99% or you're at 95% or you're at 90%, the difference between 90% and 100% is really small, almost not noticeable. But to get there, you have to put a lot of effort in. And it's the same thing with your employees, because if you can see, everything builds on themselves, going all in, being careful with marketing, not being afraid to scale, hire fast and fire fast, and don't be a perfectionist. It all builds on itself, because if you're a perfectionist, you're never going to have an employee that is going to meet your standard. If you're a perfectionist, your marketing is going to be not that great because you're looking for the perfect idea. You're trying to read minds here. So it goes without saying that you want to be good. You don't want to suck at your job. You want to be good. You want people to come to you. You want to build a team that's good around you. But don't be a perfectionist, because as soon as you become a perfectionist, as soon as you try to get to that peak level of 100% all the time, every time, morning, noon, and night, if you start doing that, then you're going to lose you're going to lose everything else. You're going to spend so much time and energy on trying to be a perfectionist that you won't focus on what really matters. And what really matters in any business, it doesn't matter if it's service or sales, is that the client has to come back. They've got to be happy, because from the client, for the customer, that's where you're getting your money. You're getting your money from someone. Money is not just coming to you. It's not evaporating to where you are. It's coming from somewhere. So it's either coming from a bank, it's coming from a client, it's coming from a customer, depending on what business you're in. And whoever that money is coming from, they have to be happy. So for those reasons, don't focus on that extra 10% or that extra 2%. Be good. Don't be a perfectionist. I'm going to give you a bonus. This is very important, probably the most important out of all of them. Have fun with your business. You don't want to wake up saying, shoot, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I can't believe I've got to go to another hearing. I can't believe I have to show another house. I can't believe I have to work on a Saturday. I hate what I'm doing. I just want to make enough money so I could, go on vacation or something like that. Don't have your business be your 9 to 5, because the reality is if you own your own business, you're not a 9 to 5 employee. You are working weekends, you are working Saturdays, you're working after 5, you're working before 9, you're doing all of these things, and you've got to enjoy doing it, because if you don't enjoy doing it, it's really a life-sucking experience. You're not getting free time. And the money that you make, you're either reinvesting into the business, or you don't really have enough time to enjoy it, because you're especially in the very beginning, the early stages, you're not on a yacht. You're pushing it, you're building your team, you're finding out how your sales flow works, you're finding out how to get clients, how to build these funnels of clients. So you're doing all of that, and you can't do that if you're miserable every single step of the way. So don't be miserable. Have fun with your business. It's your business. And what happens if you lose money? Who cares? You tried. It's your business. Keep pushing, keep trying, and don't give up. Because if you have fun with your business, it doesn't matter if you're making it, you're having a good time, and eventually that's going to rub off on other people. It's going to rub off on your performance. It's going to rub off on your team. They're not going to be afraid to talk to you. I got to tell you something. No one on my team is afraid to talk to me. I fire quick and I hire quick, but everyone knows that I like what I do. I'm good at what I do, and that I'll sit there and I'll talk for hours if they want. I mean, if they want, I'll sit there and talk for hours. But yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Have fun with your business. That's really what's important. And that is really my top 5 plus 1, top 6 tips for when you open your business. And I got those tips based on mistakes that I had, what I learned from those mistakes. Because I got to tell you, from the very beginning, I didn't go all in. I learned that the hard way. I wasn't careful with marketing. I learned that the hard way. Scaling terrified me because I didn't want to spend money. I learned that the hard way, and so on and so forth. All of these things I learned from trial and error. And now I understand that you really have to be proficient at all of these things to really grow your business and to really be what's called an entrepreneur. Let me know what you think. Have you gone through all of these quote-unquote growing pains? What did you go through? Because every business, every entrepreneur has growing pains. Did you go through these? Like, comment, subscribe. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.